Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's Wednesday, and this year it means that's time for some Tier 2 action. Joining me for Tier 2, as always, is Stryfium. Stryfium, how are you doing? It's good to be back, mate.
I am very, very excited. Extremely excited to be here, Unicorn. It was a very, very eventful opening day yesterday. We had the Tier 3 division. Of course, you partook in that race. Not the best opening race on your end, but of course we have you racing in Tier 3. We also had the Americas division last night. Two very, very exciting races to kick off the season. Now here we are with Tier 2. Of course, this will be the third of 5 races this week. We've got Tier 1 tomorrow and then APAC on Sunday. But this grid is very, very fast. We have a lot of familiar names that raced in the MRL last season here on this grid. So a lot of favorites here. And, well, it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So, obviously, it being round one, we're going to Australia and obviously the Melbourne Park GT circuit. You can see it on the screen there. 16 turns, 3 DRS zones. A very, very tricky circuit to get completely right lap after lap. But that's what these drivers are going to do for, well, 29 laps. And, well, it being round one, we've got 22 weeks of racing to go. As the... There we go, OBS. And there it is, the calendar for this season. Round one, obviously this evening, Australia. And then next week we'll go to Bahrain. In a fortnight's time we'll be at Vietnam, China, the Netherlands, Spain, Monaco, Azerbaijan, Canada, France, Austria, Britain, Hungary, Belgium, Italy, Singapore, Russia, Japan, USA, Mexico, Brazil, and rounding it out in Abu Dhabi. It feels like it was a long time ago since we did the Abu Dhabi races, Striff, and it feels like we've got a long time to go until then. But obviously Australia this evening to look forward to. And, well, who's going to be driving on this grid tonight? We've got Kai Vicini and Mr. Barbieba in those two Mercedes, Hurricane and Darian Alfie in the two Ferraris. Jake and Swifty are in for Red Bull. Rackety and XCXP in the Renaults, although Rackety won't be here this evening, replaced by Ben in the Renault this evening. Neon and Henners start in the McLaren, with Jones and Relax in the two Racing Points. Liam and Weltering in the Alpha Tauris. Crampy and Scars in the Alfa Romeos. Cottas and Adrian in the two Hascars, and Asia and Aliens are in the two Williams. And, well, it's a very, very exciting grid. Obviously, no one scored a point. The constructors' standings there looking empty at the moment, but in about an hour's time, an hour and 15 minutes time, well, it'll be a lot different, Striff. What are your predictions coming into this one?
Oh, well, considering how Tier 3 went yesterday, I really don't know what to expect on the opening lap of this race. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed we can have a nice, clean opening few laps. I mean, the safety car is... We've seen it in both tiers so far, both America's yesterday evening and in the Tier 3 division. So I think safety car is on the cards here. The question is, of course, how many will we get? When will it come out? But I think we might just see one. But of course, it is Tier 2. We haven't seen this grid all together just yet. They could be one of the cleanest grids we've ever seen. You never know. But there's always incidents, and it's the first race of the season as we jump into qualifying. Now, I will just take this moment to say, if you guys missed any of the action yesterday, Tier 3 or Americas, we are super happy this week to be announcing that we have entered partnership with none other than the global sim racing leader, Next Level Racing. So guys, check out that link, check out their stuff. They've got some great affordability in their lineup and a lot of beginner stuff if you're just looking to get into building yourself a nice setup. All right, so 18 minutes of qualifying, Unicorn, 18 minutes of qualifying, leading into a 50% distance race. What are we thinking for weather? That's something that we haven't had the roll of the dice on too much just yet. We haven't seen rain.
Well, this is a tricky circuit. Some of these corners are really deceptively hard, especially, traction is a little bit lackluster in some of these high-speed corners, and there are walls nearby at every turn. So if rain does come these drivers' way, obviously Australia, you don't necessarily expect the land down under to be that, rainy, but we are getting an all-dry race in the chat as a weather forecast. So it looks like the game is shining down on these drivers this evening, but you know, we've still got another couple of races around Australia this week, and, well, that roll of the dice, it's very, very scary, I think, for some of these drivers, because rain around here, it's particularly tricky to sort of counteract. First out of the pit lane looks like Adrian in the Haas. It is indeed. So, we saw a few of the Haas cars last season make it the first on the track. Adrian looking to sort of continue that trend, it would seem, here this evening.
I swear it's team orders for the Haas boys over there. They've always got to be first out of the pit lane, and I just saw both Ferraris leave basically in unison on my screen, and then they kind of switch back, and it was interesting to see. But it's always, I always take note of who leaves first. Well, most importantly because we give them some camera time, but secondly because it tells me that they're well prepared. And Adrian is a driver who we saw a lot of course, through 22 races, give or take a couple if we look at the attendance. But he was a tier 2 driver last season, and he did fairly well in the division in the cockpit of the AlphaTauri. Now we have him in the cockpit of a Haas for this season.
Yeah, like you said, just if you're straight out of the pit lane, you've either got no nerves or you just want to get it over with. There's not sort of an in-between there for these drivers, because if you're straight on this track, like you said, we're putting the camera straight on you, so... And most of these drivers know that. But here we go, Adrian lining up now to start the first flying lap of Tier 2 in Season 4. Obviously already into 8th gear with that ERS fully deployed, DRS open as well into Turn 1. Not quite cutting it as much, but taking plenty of curb through Turn 2. Now DRS open again as we come down towards Turns 3 and 4. Again, you've got to be careful on the throttle through here. Turn 4. Couple of curbs there that can send you a little bit off balance if you're not being careful enough. Now coming down towards 6, which is pretty tight, and then 7 again, using all of that curb on exit out of Turn 7 around the flat right-hander of 8 into Turn 9, where we saw Rutanius do a pretty monumental dive and get a move through there in Tier 3 yesterday. So it is an overtaking spot available to these drivers. Now the infamous 11 and 12. Not only is it an easy place to spin as Adrian gets a little bit squirmy on that outside curb, but also it's an easy place to pick up an invalidation in qualifying or penalties in that race for extending the track limits. Now into the last few corners, 14, 15, the tight left-hander for the Haas. Getting it nicely cleanly around there. And then the last corner, turn 16, where we saw Kai Bacchini last season have a race-ending incident. And, well, a 120.5 opens up the qualifying here this evening, Striff.
Adrian, he had me so nervous, Unicorn, coming out of that 11-12 chicane, because we saw it yesterday in Tier 3. Yourself, I imagine you probably saw it driving. There were people that had issues through that chicane, as well as out of turns 3, as well as out of turn 16. There are some hard to find traction zones, but that high-speed chicane is probably the leader of them. Scars now. A 119.464 out of the Alfa Romeo. A very nice time from him. We saw Adam take pole position here yesterday. The Alfa Romeos are looking superb this season. Darian Alfie in the Ferrari. It's the Croatian, a 19.857, and the Scuderia are going to be happy about that. It's the AlphaTauris, Liam and Weltering, 4-5 as they get knocked back. There it is. It's Crampy in the other Alfa Romeo.
Well, here comes Kai, 3rd place, 119.7, and if memory serves me, this time last season, Kai was sitting on pole position at his last outing in Australia, but now Swifty crosses the line in P3. The other Haas of Cotters, he's going to cross the line. Where does he go? 7th place, beats out his teammate, a 120 flat from the other Haas. But a big spin, and that's qualifying over for Cotters. That's not what you want to do on your in-lap.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. A 20 flat out of Cotters, and that's going to be it for the Haas. Well, you hate to see it, Unicorn. You hate to see it.
Yeah, super, super unfortunate way to just end qualifying. A 120 flat. Well, it's already 9th, and we've got 12, well, just under 13 minutes, really, left in this session. And, well, you can only imagine Cotters will be starting outside that top 10. He's already been knocked down once more. So, it's going to be a free tyre choice, looking at the positives, but that is not a good way to tee up your start.
He's on a charge through the chicane right now. He kept it fairly clean. He's got that DRS in utilization on that rear wing, of course, coming into the 13th turn. And this is a very good overtaking opportunity, excuse me. But this is qualifying, and we'll have to see what this gentleman is able to do in the Renault. Of course, your teammate this season, Unicorn.
Yeah, Renault looking for some more points. Right now, I'm the only Renault driver not to have scored points, and well, XTXP slots it into P13. A nice place to try and find some, as he's only just a few points out of that thing. But yeah, the combined constructors. I do believe Williams have won both races this season, both in Tier 3 and the Americas division. So, can someone here in Tier 2 dethrone what is looking like a very, very dominant team?
Jake, the Swedish driver right now in the Red Bull. He's coming through the 14th turn into the 15th turn now. The penultimate turn. How is this lap going to go for him? Fourth gear on exit. Coming through at 16 now. Up through the gears we go. And what will the time be from the charging Red Bull? It's good for front row action. A 19.446 out of the Swedish driver. And he sets himself between the two Alfa Romeos.
Yeah, very, very nice time from Jake, just behind Crampy there. Not by much, though. And, well, Crampy didn't seem very confident coming into this race, but right now, no one's been able to beat him. Henner's right now. Neither of the McLarens have set a lap time, and not too far behind him, Neon, his teammate, both will be looking to set a time here. Henner's, he invalidated his first run early on in that session, but he's already come in and out of the pits and has done his outlapper now. Coming down towards turn 9 to try and put his McLaren further up this grid.
Speaking of McLaren's not having the best outing they wanted yesterday. Dirk Chocolate coming in with a very strong qualifying, setting himself into that second position on that front row. But unfortunately, he made it to lap 7, retiring out on the safety car restart. Now, Neon, as well as Henner's right now, I have them pegged as top 5 finishers here. Henner's out of the 13th turn, a little bit squirrely, coming through 14 through 15 now. What will the time be from him? Neon, right behind him, is flying just the same.
Yeah, here comes Henner's around the final corner. This doesn't look like it's been the cleanest lap from him, but it is valid, and he will set a 120.2. What can his teammate come up with? A 119 flat strip. And there's Neon, bringing himself straight into the party. P1 for the McLaren as it stands, and that is a very, very impressive lap time.
Well, Neon first, Jake second now. That's your front row. It's a McLaren Red Bull front row, and then you have the Alphas barking up the rear view end on that. And then Jones in 5th, Swifty in 6th, Ben 7th, Relax 8th, Kai in 9th. With Darian in the Ferrari rounding out the top 10 right now. A majority of those top 10 on out laps looking to improve. The back of the field, however, a lot of them are either on flyers or in laps at the moment. Liam coming through Sector 2 in the Alpha Tauri now. He's up just a margin coming out of Sector 1. Kai Bacchini ahead of him. Pulling off to the inside, Mr. Barbie, but as well in the other Mercedes. Both the Mercedes getting a little bit caught through that fast section. We'll see how it impacts Liam.
Yeah, a lot of traffic out on track right now. There's only one car in that pit lane right now, and well, there's Liam's teammate. And again, just having to weave his way through traffic, and it's an invalidation for the Alpha Tauri. Just behind him, Adrian.
Circuit.
He was first out of the pits, first to set a time. Now he has the slowest time in the qualifying session, but he'll be looking to improve upon it as he comes through the final sector again, finding himself stuck in a fair amount of traffic here. But around the final corner in that Haas, he's kept it valid.
That was he improved 0.3 on that lap, and I have to say that's a massive improvement considering the amount of traffic that we saw these drivers really encountering on that lap.
Yeah, a very, very solid improvement. Obviously, not firing on all cylinders, not quite warmed up on that first lap, but now, well, Adrian slotting himself into P13, just behind his teammate who has already retired, obviously, Cotters, with that earlier incident, but now Hurricane into the final sector in the Ferrari. Yet to set a lap time, someone who was very, very successful, at least in the early stages of last season, sort of falling off a little bit towards the end. But now, redemption season 4, a clean slate for all of these drivers. And to the line, it's a 119.3. It's the second row, 4th place for the Ferrari.
Darian, his teammate for this campaign, for this 22 race season, he's unfortunately invalidated. We'll see if he has enough fuel to go around once again. We have 7 minutes remaining in this qualifying session, and a great portion of this grid is on active flyers. As we say it, Swifty in the Red Bull, he says hello, and he jumps ahead of his teammate into the front row.
Yeah, nice time from him. Asia, he hops into P7 in the Williams. A 119.3, looking to continue their run of good form. Well, Crampy, who was... Well, he was sitting up there in pole position at one point, a provisional pole. Now hopping into the pit lane with an invalidation. Taps the rear of Darian Alfie, who is going much slower than into that pit box. Jones in the racing point. He's coming through the last couple of corners now to try and improve upon a 119.533. It's looking like a pretty strong time. It's a 119.148. Almost 4/10 found to slot himself into that 4th place. And well, that's been a pretty contested spot strip. Hurricane was in there moments ago. He's now been bumped down all the way to 7th place. That gap at that front is very tight. We've got 4 drivers on a 119.1.
The gap right now, all the way from 1st to 16th position, is 1.055. That's Cotter's there in 16th position with that retirement. He could have had an improvement as well. Adrian Henners, Liam Weltering, all within capability of improving to be within that 1 second range. Tier 2 is extraordinarily tight, and we've got Tier 1 action coming tomorrow. And if you saw the time trial times we saw, it is going to be something else.
Yeah, these grids, they've been handpicked to be as close as possible. When you got to say the team has done very well. Just looking at the gap here, it's unbelievably tight. We've got pretty much the top 10 all within half a second of each other, and that's just astonishing. And one can only imagine what sort of racing that will lead to once the 5 red lights go out in a few moments' time. Obviously 5 minutes left in qualifying, and this is that famous calm before the storm. Neon currently sitting on a provisional pole, flying through Sector 1. Not quite an improvement, but if he's got time to find in Sectors 2 and 3, he will see an improvement. It's definitely a recoverable lap. Although that big slide through Turn 9 might prove otherwise.
Jake is on a charge right now. He's improved just by 200ths coming out of Sector 1. Take a look on with him in a few moments' time. Neon has aborted his lap as he's coming out of the chicane. Henners in the other McLaren. Nothing doing for him. He's 11th at the moment, 19.644. I think he may have just crossed the line finishing a run. Jake coming out of the chicane.
And he's absolutely flying right now in that Red Bull. He really wants to not only beat his teammate, but Neon as well. And Red Bull, they've also scored a fair few points in the season openers yesterday. And, well, 2nd and 3rd on the grid this evening would put them in a good stead to do the same here tonight. As Jake comes down the start-finish straight. Can he put himself in even better stead? He can. A 118.790 strip. What an astonishing time. And that's just blown everyone, including Neon, out of the water.
That, ladies and gentlemen, is the new MRL track record. 18.790 out of the Swedish driver in the Red Bull here for Tier 2. That takes things a little bit further for those Tier 1 boys tomorrow and those APAC drivers on Sunday to try and beat that. We'll see if anybody can do it in the remaining time in the session. There's a couple of drivers quite close, but that was a very, very good time.
Yeah, that is just absolutely astonishing. And, well, the traffic is building up as people start getting out of that pit lane. ready on their last run of the session. The first to cross that line to start a flyer will be Kai Bacchini. And the Mercedes crossing the line now to start his, well, probably his final flyer of the evening. I can't see him getting another one in after this. But DRS enabled out of turn 2. Currently sitting in 14th place, and well, that's a complete turnaround from where he started last season. But I imagine he's got more to give out of this lap.
Kai Bacchini being engineered, if I'm not mistaken, by the very well-known Mr. Dirk Chocolate, as he was known for in Tier 2 last season as well. They have quite the good partnership. I do believe Kai returns the favor for Dirk's races. You'd love to see that team dynamic and friendship. That's what we're all about, baby. That's the Misfits for you.
Yeah, and Kai, well, he was on a brilliant lap, but that's a spanner in the works, and
most definitely. Weltering in the Alpha Tauri. He is up nearly 3/10 coming out of the first sector. Just as one driver to take a look at, but there are a massive number of drivers on the move.
Yeah, again, you've got to be careful if you are one of those drivers out on a flyer that you don't get caught in the traffic we saw just not too long ago. Shouldn't be a problem for Weltering. He does have Jones ahead of him in the racing point, as well as one of the two Williams. But currently sitting on the bottom of the timing tower, Darian Alfie's picked up a 5-place grid penalty. You can see him and Swifty there are stationary out of turn 3. Darian's
that is very unfortunate. Yeah, a good chunk of damage on that car. He's in a very, very unique section of circuit. McLaren coming through behind him. That was, I think, Neon on a flyer.
It was, yeah. It hasn't hindered Neon too much. He's still on an improvement, but I don't think Swifty's going to be too happy about that. He's sitting in 3rd on an outlap, and, well, he would have been looking to improve upon what was an already strong time. Neon now flying up 1/10. That won't be enough on its own to dethrone Jake from that provisional pole. Crampy hops into P3 on 1:19.1. Scars his teammate on 1:18.9. Neon now off of the front row. He'll want to get back on it as soon as he can. And, well, this is his only opportunity to do so. And with 1/10 found through sectors 1 and 2, as long as he's had a good sector 3, as he goes very wide, but manages to keep it valid through the final corner. He's going to cross the line. 2/10 found, not quite pole position.
9 milliseconds, Unicorn. 9 milliseconds. Oh, he is right there.
Well,
that was tight.
Happy. He's going to be happy with the P2, but at the same time, P2 is always the first loser. And he'll just be kicking himself, you know, I could have found a 100th somewhere around that lap. And, well, he hasn't found it in qualifying, and it looks like Jake will be the one starting on pole unless Adrian's found some real time out of the bag. It's a 1:19.8, so a 3/10 improvement puts him ahead of his teammate Cotters.
Present gap to leader from pole position to 18th position, 1.086. This is a very, very tight lineup heading into Tier 2, Round 1, Australian action. I am beyond belief right now at some of the times coming out of these drivers. Jake, Neon, Scars, all sub 119s. Crampy, Scars, that Alfa Romeo 3.4. Swifty in the top 5 as well. The Racing Point 6-7, Hurricane 8th, XTXP in 9th with Azir in 10th. What a grid. What a grid. Ladies and gentlemen of the chat, how you feeling heading into this race? Because I don't even know where I'm at.
I'm excited for this one. I think there's a few people on this grid who aren't where they were sort of planning to end up. A few people in the chat saying Kai's out of place. You know, we saw him. He could have improved upon that lap time, I'm sure, had he not invalidated out of turn 12. I reckon Darian, Alfie, and Swifty, if they didn't have that coming together, I reckon they could have found some extra time. So, maybe a few people a bit lower down the grid than they would have hoped coming out of this. But, well, there's always 29 laps to find an overtake and find the points. But there we are, the qualification for the first Tier 2 race of Season 4. Jake takes pole by 9 thousandths of a second ahead of Neon. Scars takes P3 and joined alongside him on the second row of that grid. It's Crampy, his teammate in the other Alfa Romeo. Swifty picks up P5, so a Red Bull 1-5 in qualifying, followed by the 2 racing points in Jones and Relax respectively. Hurricane in P8, XTXP in P9. Azir rounds out the top 10. Then the free tyre choice goes to Weltering in the AlphaTauri. Henna's in the McLaren. Mr. Barbie Butt in the Mercedes. Ben reserving in the Renault. Aliens in the Williams in 15th. Kai Bacchini in the Mercedes in 16th. Darian Alfie 17th, but he's got a 5-place grid penalty, so he'll be at the back of this grid once we start on the formation lap. But obviously everyone's got to finalise those strategies, and, well, that qualifying session was very exciting, Striff. I'm looking forward to seeing what these guys produce in this race.
I'm still in shock, but I need to get some answers now, and that is, of course, from the chat. Ladies and gentlemen, who do you have on the podium for this race? Get those names in the chat. Spam it. We want to know who you are rooting for in this one. What team do you have taking away the biggest haul of points? And, of course, my personal favorite, how many safety cars are we getting in this race?
Well, yesterday, safety cars they weren't a rare occurrence. VSCs as well. But obviously there's a few teams with a lot of cars in that top 10 already. You've got the Alfa Romeos on that second row. You've got the 2 Red Bulls in pole and 5th place. So a lot of teams, I imagine a lot of teammates in the chat as well. Very excited, but also very nervous for what could happen on this opening lap and over the course of this race. But here we are.
Now. Oh, it's time. We're a few short moments away from pure intensity. We have a massive shuffle in tire management. Of course, we'll go down through this grid. Just a quick shout, of course, leading into this race. If you guys are looking for a new racing rig, a wheel stand, anything of the like, look no further. Next Level Racing has an amazing line of affordable products, and I have to say they're quite sturdy as well. Now, taking a look and getting down to business, of course, Jake, Neon Scars, your top 3 here. Crampy in 4th position as well in the Alfa Romeo. Swifty in the other Red Bull, rounding out your top 5. We have Jones, Relax, the 2 Racing Point 6-7. Hurricane in the Ferrari in 8th, with the Renault of XTXP barking down his rearview mirrors. As you're rounding out the 10 drivers on the softs to kick off this campaign, Weltering in 11th. He's on the mediums with Henners on the hards right behind him in 12th. Barbie Butt, he's opted for the softs. He's the only driver outside of the top 10 to do so. He's in the Mercedes. He's in 13th. Ben, Aliens, Kai Bacchini, 14 through 16, all on the mediums. Adrian Cotter through down to Liam, all on hards, and Darian Alfie at the back of the bus in red, just like the caboose on this train. And he will be on those medium compound tires. That 5-place grid penalty playing a role in his position, of course, due to that issue he had with Swifty.
Yeah, and we saw it yesterday. The hards around here they're very, very good at just going the distance. You can pretty much take them the whole race. Obviously, everyone has to pit here and use 2 different tyre compounds, as it is forecast to be a dry race. But those guys on the hards, you've got the 3 at the back, and Hennis as well in P12. I think he could be on for a very, very good haul of points if he plays that strategy and everything goes his way in terms of safety cars. The mediums as well, a little bit less flexible, but obviously they should have a little bit more pace. And, well, the softs as well, they're very fast, but, well, rear lefts get absolutely battered around the streets of Melbourne. But everyone now forming up onto the grid for the first Tier 2 race of Season 4. Last few drivers just getting ready. Everyone locked into position.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights here, Unicorn. There's a drive-through penalty for Hurricane. He's taking a jump start. That's the last thing the Ferrari squad needs, but he's going to take advantage, and he's going to lead this field down into turn 1. Jake and Neon wheel-to-wheel coming down into the first turn. Neon leading the Swedish driver through. That's the McLaren leading ahead. The Ferrari having to serve a drive-through penalty. That is Neon in net lead of this race off the line. Crampy is right behind this action. He's received a little bit of a bump through turn 3. That might have come off the Red Bull of Swifty looking for damage. It was Jones in the Racing Point that hit the Alfa Romeo, and this has been an explosive race start for Tier 2 Unicorn.
Yeah, the timing tower having one of its classic moments, but yeah, Hurricane, well, he's got a huge gap between him and Neon, but like you said, a drive through, not what he wants, and that's what looks like Mr. Barbie Butt spun round. He's out at turn 6 and 7. He is now back on track, but a huge portion of that front wing missing, and that is a VSC, but I don't think that's for Barbie Butt. Maybe it is, but it looked like the traffic sort of bunched up as well coming out of turn 10, and the Renault of Ben has a significant portion of his front wing missing too, both end plates and a bit of the left hand side of it missing as well. So a few drivers getting a lot of damage on those opening laps, and well, Hurricane will have to serve his drive through next time around. Obviously can't serve it under the VSC.
I think he might be able to. He might under the VSC conditions, but he might be looking to push a gap here with the clean air. Let's see what he's got. He's got, I think, 2 more laps. Or at the very least, this lap and another. Stewart's telling me, no, he can't. Okay, so the game doesn't... Okay, so it is not possible to serve a drive-through under VSC. I knew about this full safety car, but I appreciate everyone bringing me up to speed on how it works for the VSC now. Crampy under threat from the Red Bull of Swifty Azure. 2/10 less the gap between him and Jones as we come down into turn 6. Is there going to be a move? Nothing doing just yet. And this is a very tight grid all the way from 1st down to 20th position, with the exception of the drivers coming into the pit lane now, but they're all going to be fighting one another as well.
Yeah, I think he just got passed by Jones in the opening portion of this lap now. But Williams looking to get out from between the 2 racing points as they fly down towards turn 11. Looks like the inside, but obviously not really the best place to make a move. You want to get the good exit out of here, and it looks like the Williams has got just that as they go side by side out of turn 12. And now the Williams takes back P7 and is up 3 places from where he started this race. And once Hurricane comes into the pit lane to serve that drive-through, it will be 4 places gained. So Williams again continuing a good run of form.
Yeah, Jones right now, he's struggling. He's got some wing damage, and he's actually holding up his teammate Relax. Relax looking a little shaky coming out of the 16th turn on that exit curb. Hurricane into that pit lane, of course, for that drive-through penalty. Neon where he wants to be now in lead of things. Jake, not exactly where he wants to be. However, it was these 2 that started on the front row. They've just exchanged where they were in the beginning. And now Scars and Crampy right behind them have started to pull off a little bit. Just 1.1 the gap between Scars and Jake right now, and Jake wants to make sure that stays there. Jones and Relax, they have switched positions now. XTXP is charging in that Renault in P9. He wants that 8th position.
Cotters has just hit a wall pretty hard, and again, the Haas is really struggling. Liam as well looks like he's lost a bit of it. In fact, that might have been Liam ahead of Cotters, slamming that right-hand wall. So both of them, but on the back, are struggling.
I got to take your attention to P11 for 10 right now. It's Kai Bacchini on an absolute turbocharged move. He's really pushing through on Henry coming into the 11-12 chicane. They go wheel to wheel. Henry gave him the squeeze. Kai got ahead into the chicane, and he's gone wide, and he's gone around. That is Kai Bacchini off outside of the chicane. There is fast movers coming by. Is he going to get back on circuit? He is missing a very large portion of that front left wing.
Yeah, Kai really, really not having the race that would redeem him from last season's Australia. Jake, meanwhile, looking for return to P1 in this, just behind Neon. We're on lap 4. Obviously, DRS now is available to these drivers, but I don't think it's going to be enough for Jake to make the move down towards turn 3. And he stays in P2 for the time being.
XTXP still barking up the rear of Jones right now as we come through 3. Through 4 now. Jones really struggling on the exit out of 4, coming through 5. And this is, I think, might be a very good opportunity for the Renault here.
Darian
no
Alfie
DRS
as well
in this equation between these drivers through this section. But, of course, coming out of the 12 chicane, I think XTXP might dispatch Jones here.
Very nice move from Adrian, getting past the Ferrari of Darian Alfie through the first sector, side by side through a lot of it. Very tricky section to go side by side through now. Jake looking for P1 again. This is a much better opportunity for it, but again, not quite finding the pace he needs to get that move done.
Adrian, Darian Alfie having an exchange ahead of the 11-12 chicane. Darian Alfie in the Ferrari getting that move done. Adrian dropping back. It's a battle between mediums and hards. One thing to talk about, XTXP, he was very tight to Jones. He had a little bit of an issue coming through the 10th turn, a little bit of a slide. He lost time, managed to get it back, but he brought Henry and, of course, Aliens into the equation.
Yeah, a lot of drivers as Jake now around the outside of turn 3, looking for P1. He's not going to find it. Neon giving a big squeeze, and now Scars. Just what we were talking about, people being brought into fights. It's Scars now as the two vie for the lead. Scars just looking on hungrily to see if he can pick up the scraps, and if Jake doesn't get past Neon quickly, I think Scars might just pass Jake instead and say, move over, sir, I'm going to come and get my hands dirty. But Jake looking around the outside again. This time it's down into turn 9. But again, unsuccessful attempt from the Red Bull. Looking a bit squirrely as well out of 10. And Scars is still
brush
looking
with
comfortable.
the wall there as well. And I have to say, Jake is doing what he needs to do right now. He's applying pressure to Neon. Neon using a little bit more battery. Henry right now, he's had an issue. He's had a big spin. He is in the circuit looking the wrong way. He's trying to get that car spin around. Traffic coming through. It's going to be Cotters moving ahead of him now. He's fallen all the way to 15th position, and Azir and Relax have had an exchange. Swifty's had a spin coming out of 13.
This lap 5 has been a very, very eventful lap. A lot of cars pointing the wrong way, and a lot of position switches as Darian Alfie comes past Swifty. I think the other Ferrari as well of Hurricane. Well, he's not quite going to get the Red Bull here, but that damage on Swifty's car leaving a bit vulnerable, and Swifty, the Red Bull, hopping straight into the pits, presumably going to try and take some hards to the end.
Darian Alfie, the driver that started this race in 20th position on the mediums, he is now into 10th. His teammate Hurricane right behind him. We'll see what the Scuderia can do by the end of this one, but right now all eyes up front. It's Neon, Jake, Scars, Crampy in formation as Jake continues to hunt down Neon for the position where he began this campaign.
Yeah, and it's now lap 6, a very comfortable window to take hards to the end. And, well, the soft runners, they won't be thinking about coming in just yet, but it won't be long until we start to see a few of these front runners hop into the pit lane. And, well, the undercut around here is pretty powerful. And the two Alpha and Mayos need to be careful, because obviously they can't pit on the same lap given the proximity between the two teammates in Scars and Crampy. So fingers crossed that they've both got themselves in a VC. They're talking back with their over the radio. Maybe they've got a race engineer, because they've got to really plan out their strategy. Meanwhile, Jake, his teammate's already pitted, and, well, as has Neon. So they're a little bit more flexible as to what they can do with the strategy. They all started on these soft 6 laps on them now as we go on to lap 7. There goes Jones. He becomes the first of the soft runners to pit, and I don't think that's for a new front wing either.
This is where things get spicy. Traffic. Tire degradation. Oh, it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. As soon as the pit stops start coming through, drivers with great pace get trapped behind drivers with worn tires, and it creates very interesting dynamics, and you love to see it. Right now, Neon just less than 3/10 that gap between him and Jake still. Trains forming further down the grid still. Adrian, Ben, Swifty. A little bit of tire difference in that situation. Kai Bacchini's there as well. So there's a train back in that back end. But this train in the front end is very, very important. And none of these drivers in the top 5 have penalties, and they're all within 3-second range. And as I say it, ladies and gentlemen, that is the race leader, Neon, coming out of 11-12 with a 3-second time penalty, and Jake is going to know all about that.
Yeah, that's definitely the biggest commentator's curse, I think, of Season 4 so far, Striff, but 3 seconds for Neon with so many cars close together. If these guys were to finish like this, that's the loss of a podium. If this was lap 29, as Scars just bends it straight into the wall, a monumental
That's a huge retirement
crash.
path. Movers coming through here as well. Relax avoided him. XTXP is coming into the pit lane as soon as he saw it. The safety car has been deployed. And Scars in the Alfa Romeo is out of contention.
Yeah, very nice reaction from XTXP to put himself into the pits. I think Aliens might have made a little bit of a mistake here. He may be on the mediums, but I think hards to the end here is probably the shout. Mediums to softs might be a little bit difficult. Neon did beat the safety car out though, so they will still be able to go around and, well, get a
that means
pit stop.
XTXP and Jones have made the pit stops of their career, in my opinion.
Yeah, XTXP.
That is something else.
That reaction, pretty much perfect from the pair of them, and now everyone's going to follow suit as well. Hards to the end, it's very possible. We saw Squid do an absolutely monumental stint in Tier 3 yesterday. Pretty much taking his tyres 27 laps, so from lap 8 with safety car, it's going to be completely possible for this Renault, that Racing Point, and all the other drivers to take these hards all the way to that checkered flag.
What a development. What a development. I got the tail end of that on my end. I don't know how you caught it on your end, but I had full visual of an airborne Alfa Romeo on my end. And that's the last thing we wanted, was to see a retirement, but Scars is out of this race.
Yeah, the Alfa Romeo crew in the chat not happy with how that's gone down. I think the leaders might have been far enough ahead of XTXP that they're actually not going to get overtaken by the Renault. Neon already on fresh soft. No, mediums. What am I seeing on the softs there? Everyone now paying onto the mediums mostly, which is interesting. I thought, Swift, that we'd see a lot of hards come out to play here. Maybe people gambling on another safety car, or maybe they think they could take mediums 20 laps around here.
Well, you know what I always say. This entire grid's about to get bunched up again. And we saw how that went in the opening stint of this race. Then we had VSC, and that kind of threw a little bit of a monkey wrench into the equation. But now we're going to get a rolling restart to this race, as all of these drivers now catch the cue. This race is now being led by Aliens, who is P1 on a set of mediums, the same mediums that he began this race. Darian Alfie finds himself up 18 positions from where he began this campaign. He's on his starting tires as well.
Yeah, a bit of deja vu from me here. P1 is a Williams after safety car not pitting, and P2 is someone who's climbed from pretty much the entire rear of the grid and hasn't pitted under the safety car either, so how can these two fare? They're both on 8-lap-old mediums. So, I'm confused as to why they haven't pitted for hards here. I just don't understand why everyone behind them is on fresh mediums, so they won't have pace at all in comparison, realistically, on their tyres. And, well, pushing for softs is going to be difficult, not impossible, but they'll need to stretch another 7 laps at least out of these tyres. I imagine to get to softs, probably more comfortable on 9, but it's an interesting strategy.
Gamble. Big gamble here for these guys that haven't stopped yet, because they need another safety car in order to make it work, and they don't want to lose too many positions until that car comes out either. But we are going to be going around once again, and I do believe we'll be back in at the end of lap 10, starting green flag racing on lap 11. And let's take a look at the position changes overall in this race. So Aliens and Darian, the top two right now, 14 positions gained for the Williams, 18 for Darian. Jake, Neon, Crampy down 2 apiece, with Crampy being down 1. Relax up 1, Azir up 3, XTXP up 1, Hurricanes down 1. Jones is down 4. Liam has made up 8 positions. Adrian's made up 5. Swifty's had an issue there. We saw him with some damage. He's dropped 8 positions. Cotters has moved up 4 from where he began. Weltring, he's down 4. Kai has remained in 16th position after all has been said and done in the first third of this race. Mr. Barbie Butt, his teammate right behind him. Henner's in 18th, in Ben in 19th. Barbie Butt down 4. Henner's down 6, with Ben down 5, and Scars, unfortunately the biggest loser in this one so far, down 17 with the retirement. The Alfa Romeo boys not going to be happy with that. That will sting.
Yeah, absolutely. You don't want to lose a car, and it's the first retirement of the race as well. Still 19 other cars on track battling out for the first available points for these, well, this grid this season. And, well, there were two teams coming into this that looked pretty strong on the grid. That was Renault and, of course, Alfa Romeo. Well, not Renault, Red Bull. I got the wrong R there. Jake's still in third, Crampy's still in fifth, but Swifty, after a whole host of issues, is down in 13th, like you said. And, well, Scar's the first retirement and only retirement. He's not going to be scoring any points for that Alfa Romeo squad either, so a little bit of an upset for those two teams who were looking strong coming into the event at the start, but now other teams a little bit more of an opportunity on the table for them, as the safety car looks like it's going to be going around again, Striff.
That is very curious. So we're going to be coming in at the end of lap 12. The entire grid is going to be going around together. And just a reminder to anyone that may be listening to the broadcast that is driving, just a reminder to keep a safe distance under safety car conditions. You do not want to be taking those unnecessary penalties for just tapping another driver, which we've been, well, accustomed to seeing.
Yeah, those 5-second penalties there, even if it seems that it wasn't a penalty-worthy incident, the game likes to hand them out, but yeah, just keeping that safe distance will allow everyone to avoid them if possible. And again, this extra lap of the safety car really helps these drivers who have just pitted onto the fresh tyres to nurse them just that little bit more, get a little bit less wear than they would on a full speed lap under green flag racing conditions.
Ben, in the Renault, he took this opportunity to do a little bit of a switcheroo on his tires. He's back onto some 2-lap-old mediums. He is in 19th position.
Yeah, just ahead of him as well. Henna's on those softs. 3 laps. They're definitely not making it to the end of this race. But obviously, pitting now, especially as we expect the safety car to come in at the end of this lap, or at least we hope it does.
Yeah, he's got a big issue.
He had such a good strategy coming into this race with those hards in what I believe is P12 on the grid, but obviously that crash sort of scratched that one off of the list in terms of possible strategies for that McLaren crew. His teammate though, Neon, up in P4. Pretty much where he started this race. He started in second. The 2 of the 3 cars ahead yet to pit, as Crampy gets very close to the rear of that McLaren. And the Alien tees up to get ready to restart. He's that de facto safety car right now. The Williams leads this race after 11 laps.
Keep an eye on the tires. Keep an eye on how they exit, because this is a very hard traction zone right now. Alien's having a little bit of a shake. Does this expose him to Darian? Well, I can tell you right now, they're both exposed to Jake. He had a fantastic exit. Neon not giving him any room to breathe. And we're already heading straight down into turn 1 with an absolute train of epic proportions.
Oh, and there goes Jake!
Out of turn 2. No, and he is retired into the wall. He's looking the other way. That car is in the middle of the circuit, and all of this grid is going to pass by that Red Bull. And that is the last thing the Swede wanted in this one.
Well, what a strong performance it was for the Red Bull, but to come crashing out like that under a safety car restart, you hate to see it. It hasn't sparked a safety car or even a VSC following the restart, but another absolutely huge crash in this race. And well, the Red Bull squad now both out of the points. Swifty and their only hope down in P12 right now. But again, this race throws another curveball. And if anyone was making predictions, this has been a very, very hard race to get it right on.
Just sticking with Neon right now as he's on the fresh rubber versus Darian Alfie. Darian Alfie 1 second away from Aliens right here. Him and Aliens leading this race on their starting tires. Darian doing a very good job of holding up Neon right now and causing him a potential problem, as Crampy has no penalties and he's just sitting in the rearview mirror of that McLaren.
Yeah, I was about to say, Crampy with no penalties. Relax as well. Relax definitely able to set those tires to the end. I think the mediums will make it as well, but not quite as convincingly, as it looks like Kai Pacini is getting pretty close to the rear of Weltering, not quite finding the move through turns 1 and 2. The Mercedes will have another look down towards turn 3. That's for sure. Here he goes looking around the outside of the AlphaTauri. A little bit of a lock-up. Taps the AlphaTauri as well. But he's still side by side coming through turn 4. They're a little bit locked with the wheels. They managed to keep it clean. And, well, Kai still behind in P15. Looks like the inside again now of the AlphaTauri. And he's found the move.
That was a beautiful move from Kai Bicini. Unicorn, he forced an error out of him. But I have to say, Weltering's in even deeper trouble as Henry on the softs is barking up his rearview mirror right now.
Yeah, Henna's on these softs as well, so he's really got to find some pace here as, well, he's got to justify staying on his tyres somehow. And, well, Weltering has just been passed by Mercedes on mediums. Henna's surely can find a way past on the softs, but it's not to be down into turn 13. Meanwhile, back up at the front, the other McLaren is still glued to the gearbox of Darian Alfie, and, well, Aliens is making a little bit of a runaway. He's already pulled out a 1.1 second gap, and that means despite DRS being enabled, the Ferrari of Darren Alfie won't have it.
Hurricane and Azir coming into turn 1 and 2. Azir putting that car right in Hurricane's way, making sure he doesn't get the move into turn 1 and 2, but Hurricane doesn't care. He is along the outside heading into turn 3 ahead of the Williams. Azir holding on the inside. Where does Hurricane land in this exchange coming through turn 4? Azir has to run off the track. Hurricane has the position, and that is the Ferrari into 6th.
Yeah, a few positional changes going on down at the bottom. It looks like Swifty might have had an issue. He's dropped down to 15th place in that Red Bull. No damage to speak of. But Weltering in P14 now. Hennes has now got a very quick Red Bull in front of him. He has a little look up the inside, down towards turn 9, but he's not going to find a way through despite being on those soft compound tyres, and they're not going to last too much longer for the McLaren. They've probably exhausted at least a half of their lap.
Neon now wheel to wheel with Darian coming through 13 right now, giving Darian a very good squeeze on that
Crampy,
inside.
though.
Right now it's exposed him to Crampy, and here comes Relax. Will Darian fall 3 times in the span of 2 turns? That is the question right now. Relax not getting anything done on Darian just yet, but I have to say he's in a great position with DRS in utilization. Will we see the move from him now? He's charging, he's coming. Does he look to that inside? Does Darian have a defense here? Nothing doing out of the racing point, and that is very patient from him. Relax, however, has taken a 3-second time penalty on the rear of that Ferrari.
Yeah, well, speaking of Ferraris, Hurricane now looking up the inside of the racing point and joins his teammate in front of the Pink Panther, and, well, that's what Relax wants to be doing. Because now the 2 Ferraris are going tooth and nail. Hurricane getting past his teammate. Didn't make it too difficult for his teammate. And now Azir as well. He's coming past in the Williams. P6 is now his, and Relax falls back 2 places in the space of Sector 1.
This is absolutely wild racing, and then look at the dynamics coming out of the Scuderia here. There's a big lunge out of Azir coming into 10. Darian still on those old mediums. From 20th position, this man is holding things as tightly as he can. Azir was not able to make it through, and Darian's going to be happy about that. And look at Hurricane flying away ahead.
Well, it's gone from bad to worse for Racing Point. If Relax dropping 2 places this lap wasn't bad enough, Jones has had a spin and is now all the way down in 18th place and is miles off the rest of the pack. So he won't be finding any points this race unless we get another safety car, because he needs some sort of miracle to come back after that. But the Renault of Ben, the only reserve on this grid this evening, he's looking at Hennes, as Hennes' tyres will be starting to feel the wear, and, well, up at the front as well. Neon and Aliens both have penalties. Aliens yet to pit, and Crampy, we saw him just follow through Neon ahead of what I believe was Hurricane. No, it would have been Darian Alfie. But Crampy's really got his eyes fixed on the Freistoff. He knows exactly what he needs to do to win this race, and that's just stick within 3 seconds of Neon and don't pick up another penalty, or a penalty to begin with. He's one of the few drivers here who hasn't got that black and white flag next to his name on the timing tower.
XTXP, a part of that club as well, within 1.2 of Relax right now. Relax struggled earlier on. We saw him get mugged a little bit as Azir got ahead of him, and he's still hunting down Azir. Azir on the rear of Darian. We've got a nice little train in fruition here for that 5th position. Darian still has to pit. That's what everybody needs to keep in mind. But he knew that Hurricane knew that, and he did a fantastic job playing rear gunner to let Hurricane through unimpeded, and Hurricane has really done what he needed to do to get himself close to those podium positions. Penalties or no penalties, look at Hurricane. He has 3 seconds, and he is within 1 second of Crampy. That is huge for the Ferraris right now. Absolutely massive.
Yeah, Kai Bacchini as well. He's making his way up the grid. He's just taken Adrian for P10, putting himself in the point-scoring positions, and he'll be wanting to stay there. His teammate down in 17th right now, so he's the only Mercedes in his point-scoring positions and ahead of them. Liam.
Oh, no. He got caught on the inside of the wheelbase trying to overtake into turn 1, and that has unfortunately hooked him around. Now he has fallen into 17th position. No damage by the looks of it, but this grid's tight, and mistakes or issues or any comings together like that as Ben and Henners go will through 3 and 4. Ben takes a penalty as a result, and Kai is also taking a penalty. Penalties coming hard and fast here, and the only 3 drivers without them are Crampy, XTXP, and Mr. Barbie Butt.
Yeah,
can you imagine if we had a late safety car right now?
Yeah, well, if you're XTXP, you're going to need a lot of things. Barbie as well, he is looking... If he can get a late safety car to come his way, that'll be absolutely astonishing for the other Mercedes driver. Hurricane still struggling to find a way past this Williams, and that's impeding his charge to try and join the 2 up ahead for the fight for the win. Crampy still the firm favourite for that, given his lack of penalties, and, well, there's a pretty large battle going on for P5 as well. Darian, yet to pit, has Azir pretty close behind him. DRS for the Williams, not for the Ferrari, as Aliens and Hurricane's finally found a way past, and there's been an issue out of the final corner. It's Connors in the Haas. Hasn't been on his best game here in Australia. He doesn't seem to be a favourite of his. But Azir getting very close to Darian Alfie, not finding the move, and, well, Relax carrying a lot more speed through turn 3. Then the Williams finds the wall. Very lucky not to have retired there, but he's lost a huge portion of that front wing, and we'll see him into the pit line, I'm sure. Possibly for fresh softs to the end, if he's got any left. Possibly use them up all in qualifying. But
one driver to talk about here, Kai Bacchini, 9th position, non-10 lap old mediums, 3-second penalty to his name. He is in the points. He's charging down on the rear of XTXP, and he has Azir not too far ahead of him. He is going to be quite happy if he is able to move himself further into that top 10. Azir has an issue on those worn tires coming out of the 11-12 chicane. XTXP and Kai Bacchini move by swiftly, and we'll have to see if Kai has it in him to take XTXP into turn 1. He has been very aggressive in this race. He's been doing the work he needs to do, though, and that's to get that car into these points for the Mercedes squad. Mr. Barbie, but at the moment his teammate a little bit further behind, but things still very tight in this grid. Mistakes can land these drivers anywhere, as we are now just 2/3 of the way through this race. Here we go. Kai Bacchini wheel-to-wheel with XTXP down the pit straight into turn 1. Easy as you like for Kai. Not a lot that XT can do there. He has no DRS and utilization in comparison, and it was just a smooth move for Kai.
Yeah, Kai. He wanted to redeem himself from last season, and now we thought at the start that this race wasn't going his way, but if there's one thing Kai Bacchini can do, it's recovery drives. And look at him now, P6 on 11 lap old mediums.
Sorry to interrupt you there, Unicorn Weltering, and Ben nearly wheel-to-wheel there. Ben coming out onto some grass out of the exit of 5, nearly getting loss of the car, and this has really exposed him to Swifty in the Red Bull. Ben right now is the gatekeeper for that final points position. And as we were saying a few moments ago, Mr. Barbie but was in 15th position. Now he's in 12th, really creating an opportunity for those Mercedes drivers to get a double points finish in this one.
Yeah, and it's all about points as Relax looks to take a few from Darian Alfie, the Ferrari, still yet to pit. I wouldn't be surprised now to see him hop into that pit lane for some softs after he gets overtaken by the Racing Point. Liam has found his way past the Mercedes, but Mr. Barbie looking to try and find P12 back, but he's not going to find it as they go onto the start-finish straight, but a little tap from the rear of the Mercedes, and both go sliding across the track into the grass, and Liam struggling to regain track, and, well, a good bit of sportsmanship coming out from Mr. Barbie, but letting the AlphaTauri find his legs, get back on circuit before him. So he knows he's made a mistake there. Lovely to see from him, but still super unfortunate for both drivers. As it looks like Ben looking around the outside of the AlphaTauri, weltering up the inside. And the AlphaTauri finds P8 from the Renault.
Oh, this is deja vu for Ben. This is where they went wheel-to-wheel last time. This time around, not quite in a position to make that choice again, nor would I think he'd want to, but he has the ability to stay tight and perhaps utilize DRS into turn 13.
Yeah, well, he needs to just stay right on the rear as Adrian picks up a penalty. You saw Weltering just sort of bounce off that curve there, just taking a little bit too much with the front left. As we're on lap 20 of 29, 2/3 of the way through this race. Here we go. Can Ben find the pace he needs? He gets very squirrely out of the 11-12 chicane. He picks up a 3-second time penalty for his efforts, but he's still going to have a little look. But, well, the Williams is going to defend.
Equal.
Yeah, he's going to get the switch back. He's looking for it now. And he might have just found P8. He's going to have to defend around the outside now.
Swifty. There's been a wheel tap between Ben and Weltering, and Swifty just went around the outside and said, "Thank you very much for that lovely fight. I'll take a position as well." Weltering falling into 10th now. Ben in 8th.
Yeah, recovery
now,
drives.
The top 3. Look at this top 3 right now. Neon, Crampy, Hurricane. And they have absolutely rocketed away from the other drivers, Relax and Kai. You look at Relax, 7 seconds away from Hurricane at the moment, and Hurricane is hunting down that potential win right now. Crampy, no penalties just yet, but we've still got some driving to do. As your 122.793 now, the fastest lap of the campaign, and that will take that fastest lap outside of the top 10, which can be crucial in a long term.
Yeah, just having a quick look at the penalty situation so everyone can get a visualization for those looking at home. Neon's got 8 seconds of penalties to his name strip, so that is going to be a very, very hard gap to find. I can't imagine him finding a second per lap on Crampy and Hurricane. Hurricane's got 3 seconds, but so are the 2 cars behind him. So Crampy looking very strong. XTXP, he might find himself in the top 5 if he can't catch on track with Kai's penalty.
Ben right now hunting down Adrian, very, very tight. Very tight coming through the 15th turn right now. I think we could see a move here into the first turn. Ben with a bit of a slide, a bit of a loss of traction on exit here. Does he have enough juice to take this Haas, though? Not yet. And I want to take this moment. Big shout out to everybody viewing along. If you're new, hit that follow button. We have a ton of racing still to come. This is only round 1 out of 22 for season 4. Here comes Ben on the inside now. Adrian, not a lot he can do against the DRS, but he's going to do what he can later on the brakes. Is this going to be the overtake the Renault needs? What a defense coming out of Adrian, and he holds it for now. Wow. That was a very, very good defense out of Adrian.
Yeah, it's a tricky place to defend from. There's not a lot of traction on that inside line, especially if you're having to take it tight because there's someone coming around your outside. But Ben, he's not giving up. He's still having a look. Not going to go for it into turn 9. It's a little bit of a risky move, but it is possible. We've seen it before, and I'm sure we will see it again. Maybe not here this evening. Maybe someone in Tier 1 will opt for it tomorrow. But here goes Ben again. He's so tight coming through in the 11-12 chicane. Can he find a better exit? He can. He will have DRS on the Haas. Here he goes on the inside. I think he did. But here goes the Renault, almost spinning himself around. Not quite. And he stays ahead of Swifty. But he's not ahead of Adrian. But that is Crampy's first penalty of the evening. And it's 3 seconds.
Hurricane just took an additional 3 seconds. This puts him at 6 seconds. Crampy has 3, Neon has 8, but they are all in tight proximity, and this is a fight for podiums. The question is, which place on that podium, of course, will it be? Neon right now is slated to potentially lose the win. I think Hurricane may just get into that second slot, and Neon might drop to 3rd here.
Well, Ben's
but there's still some laps to go.
Ben's finally slotted his car into P7. And Adrian on these 18-lap-old mediums, they might be starting to wear because you can see Swifty all over the rear of the Haas as well on those hards. They'll be feeling not as good as new, but a lot nicer than the mediums at this stage of the race.
Darian on very fresh softs, fighting off Liam right now. Caused Liam a penalty through 3-4, actually. giving him a good squeeze on the outside. Now he's hunting him down into 10. Nothing doing just yet. Maybe a gentle tap there. No damage or debris. Swifty on Adrian. Adrian has a slide coming out of 11-12. He's trying to squeeze off the Red Bull, but the speed is just too much right now. He's using that battery. Coming into 13 now. On the inside, he's on that outside. He gets a bit too much curb. Swifty on the inside. What a sheer overtake of power and ability from Swifty. That was just pure power from him. Oh, and Adrian's not happy. He's coming into the pit lane.
Yeah, well, Adrian's tyres, I don't think they were feeling too good. You could see him struggling over the course of that lap now. Maybe looking to try and find fastest lap, get an extra point there, but he's out of the points right now. Down in 13th for the Haas as of right now. Darian Alfie on fairly fresh soft, still hunting down Liam in the Alpha Tauri. He comes into the DRS zone just out of turn 2. Looks around the outside of 3. Not going to find it though. Maybe the switchback though. He's got the traction on these softs, but it's not quite enough for the Ferrari. But maybe around the outside of 5 on the curb. And he is going to find that place. What a move coming out of the Scuderia. And he takes 11th place and will try and hunt down Aliens for P10 and slot himself into the points. But Aliens is on those softs as well, so he'll be a harder target for the Ferrari to catch. And catching Ferraris,
I think Weltring is Darian Alfie's next target, because if we take a look on board with Aliens right now, Weltring is in his sights, and the amount of speed he just carried through the 13th turn tells us something, and that's that Weltring is in big trouble.
Yeah, at this stage of the race, tyre degradation, it's not just how long the tyres will last, it's how well these drivers have managed them as well. How many battles they've been in since that safety car ended. And here goes the Williams looking up the inside down into turn 1, and the carrier speed of the final corner makes this no contest, and the Williams is just absolutely breezed by into P9. And well, now Williams might not be winning for the 3rd race in a row, but it looks like it will be points for the Williams team after all, despite a pretty unfortunate race for the two of them.
Weltring right now falling off of Aliens. Darian 7.5 the gap instead of 9.5, but Aliens has just stepped in it himself, taking an additional penalty. He's now up to 11 seconds. And that is going to be very unfortunate for him. XTXP right now, the only driver in the top 10 without a penalty. And the big question is, where will that land him? Because the two drivers in front of him, they're holding on to 3 seconds apiece.
It's a very interesting situation for XTXP. We're getting to the stage now where a late safety car seems almost impossible and very unlikely, but if it was to happen, it would leave XTXP pretty much with a guaranteed race win, I think, at this point, provided he followed suit with the correct pit strategy. I don't even think he'd have to pit as Barbie, but exchanges positions. It's Hennes up into P13 in the McLaren. Almost a snap out of the rear for the Mercedes, but he carries it on. He's still pointing in the right direction, and well, it's not going to be points for the Mercedes, it doesn't look like, but he has no penalties, so it's still not over for him, and he will have to see this one out to the checkered flag.
This fight for the podiums, well, the shuffle for podiums, we should call it. They're 8.6 away from relax, so the top 3 right now, from what I understand, will go untouched, with the exception of maybe Neon. Well, no, even with the penalty, yeah, with the penalties, Neon won't be touched. So we're in a position where these top 3 are in the world of their own, fighting for what could be a win on either side for all 3 of these guys. Adrian has just taken another 3-second time penalty. He's wheel to wheel right now with Azir. This is some very intense action. Azir getting ahead of the Haas. How many penalties for Adrian now? Well, that's 20 seconds for Adrian. And that's not going to be getting him anywhere.
Yeah, the front 3 crossing onto lap 27 of 29. Just 3 more to go, including this one. And like you said, it's still anyone's game. If they picked up a penalty during this stage, it's pretty much game over for most of them. Looking at the penalty situation, Neon's on 8. Crampy's on 3 and Hurricane's on 6, so still it looks like Crampy is the favourite. but he
I
went
think
so
we'd see
long without
Crampy,
picking one out.
Hurricane, Neon in that order if things stand as they are right now through the final few laps of this race.
It depends. Neon did pull out a second gap a little while ago. If he can pull that off through the penultimate and the final lap, maybe he can secure second place away from Hurricane. He just needs to finish 2 seconds ahead of that Ferrari. It's going to be close between the two of them if Neon can find the pace to hammer down. Hurricane as well is on 19 lap old mediums compared to 18 laps on the 2 cars ahead of him. So Neon's got that in his favour as well. But obviously Crampy, he's got the least penalties and he's got the freshest tyres. So
one thing to note is Hurricane has made up 5 positions in this race from where he began. And he's served a drive-through penalty as he jumped the start. And he's running in 3rd. Always opportunities, Lewis. That, you know, it makes you think about where we'd see Jake and Scars, and it's very unfortunate to see them 19th and 20th on that timing tower out of this session.
well,
Oh no, Aliens has spun. Aliens has spun. Where is this going to put him? Oh, this puts him right in the crosshairs for Weltering. And who's there with him? Darian. So Weltering and Darian have both moved up. Darian into the points now. What is the penalty situation looking like on his end? As it stands right now, it could be a double points finish for the Scuderia, which I don't think anybody would have had pegged coming into this one, seeing Darian start this race in 20th. And seeing Hurricane serve that drive-through penalty.
A monumental drive from a lot of these guys, and well, just the story of the evening has just been recovery drives. You've got Hurricane, like you're saying, coming back from a drive through. Kaibachini, he's been up and down this grid. He's made a whole host of positions to get all the way up to P5. Swifty J as well, he's made a pretty big comeback after an incident in qualifying and some incidents earlier on in the race. Darian, like you said, there have been some really monster drives from some of these drivers, really putting their foot down, showing that they will not be beaten in the season opener here at Albert Park.
Well, all I can say for certain is Kaibachini just took a 3-second time penalty, putting him to 6 seconds in total. XTXP is in range. And that means XTXP could collect 5th position from the Mercedes driver. The only other driver on the grid, once again, without penalties is that Mr. Barbie, but he is in 13th position on 19 lap old mediums. But we are now on the final lap of this race as Neon, Crampy, and Hurricane come through turns 3 and 4.
And we've got news from the Mercedes pit wall. Apparently Kai got a double warning there, so they will be contesting that latest penalty, but obviously that's a pretty hard one to get removed. But obviously now the last lap, and all eyes are focused on these 3 drivers. The battle for the lead hasn't really gone away. It's not something you always see too frequently in F1 races. You see maybe 1, if not 2 drivers tear away, but this race we've had 4 or 3 drivers up for P1 this entire time, Stefan. It's just been a joy to watch these guys. Obviously at the start Jake was here, Scars were here as well, but now Scars' teammate Crampy looking like he's going to take the win away from Neon, who's led this race for a substantial amount of time, but those penalties stacking up against him, and Hurricane as well. He's clawed it back, and he should be on that penalty podium too, but it might be close. He needs 2 seconds, Neon, to beat Hurricane. It's currently 1.9. Neon's going to cross the line in first place in the McLaren. Crampy takes the win. Hurricane takes P2.
Crampy, after the penalties come across as they cross the line, will take the win here in Australia. Around Albert Park, Hurricane, after having served a drive-through penalty, comes 2nd position. And it's Neon rounding out the podium finishers for this one in 3rd. Relax 4th. XTXP in 5th now. Jumping Kaibachini, of course, they had said they are going to be reviewing a double warning served or handed to the Mercedes, causing that penalty. But he will finish in 6th. Ben in the other Renault in the reserve capacity for Rackety today. He will finish 7th. Swifty in 8th. Darian, the other Ferrari, he will finish in 9th. From 20th on the grid, Liam rounds out the points finishers for this one in 10th. What a race. What a race.
A lot of drama for that one, Striff, and well, the first race that we've commentated together, the 3rd, obviously, of the season, and well, what a race that was. That was just pure craziness, a very entertaining race to watch driver of the day going to a very well-deserving
Kowalski,
Darian
you're recording if
Alfie.
you're there.
I don't think you could hear me for that last half a minute or so, Striff, but you should be able to hear me now.
Okay, perfect.
I think everyone else has been able to hear all of us, but yeah, just a truly astonishing race. All I was saying was just how, for the first race to commentate together, Striff, that was a pretty wild one.
Yeah, that was only 2 retirements, all said and done. It was a fairly clean race overall when it came down to the wheel-to-wheel action. Couple of little dramas here and there, nothing too much to phone home about, but it was the penalties on exceeding and cutting that really threw curveballs in for some of these drivers today, most especially Neon. He had a very good drive, a strong drive, leading the pack today, but it was the penalties taking too much liberty with the circuit that put him on the back foot today. So Crampy, the Englishman, taking that win in the Alfa Romeo, Hurricane, the Hungarian in the Ferrari, second, and Neon, the Dutchman, in third. We have Relax in fourth, XTXP in fifth, and it was a stellar drive from a lot of these racers. Some were great winners, some had some poor races, but it is a 22 race season, of course. Tier 1 action. We'll be back with more tomorrow, and we have APAC on Sunday. We're going to have some interviews in just a moment's time, and then after that, as always, guys, we're going to rate a member of the F1 community.
Yeah, well, all you have to do is just take a look at where everyone started this race compared to where they finish it, and it's just a completely different story to what we saw in qualifying. Obviously, Scars and Jake being, 2 of the dominant forces out on track early on, and neither finishing this race. That sort of played a huge role in the outcome of that one. But there's the incidents, and, well, most of them just warnings for track limits. But yeah, Crampy 4th to 1st, and Hurricane as well, 8th to 2nd with that jump start, but still managing to claw it back. But look at the Monster Drives. Kai 16th to 6th. You've got Ben as well, 14th to 7th. Some really big gains from all of them. Like Stiff said though, we will be having driver interviews, so don't go anywhere just yet, ladies and gentlemen. As fingers crossed, we can get that podium in here to get their thoughts on the race.
Hello.
All right, ladies and gentlemen of the stream, we have Neon with us from McLaren. Neon, well,
Hello.
it was a long race and a little bit of tough luck at the end. Let's have your take on it.
Yeah, I had a good first stint. I felt like I jumped Jake at the start, of course, which was lucky. And then in the pit, it was kind of Henners was in front of me. And then my pit crew put me back behind Jake. I, of course, also sped in the pit lane, which was unlucky. And then nothing I could do with the age. I think it was Aliens and was it the Mr. Alfie with they were in front of me, and I couldn't gap Crampy before the DRS was there, so unlucky. But good race in the end. GG's to Hurricane and Crampy for that race.
Okay, this race is the first real look at Tier 2. You come out of qualifying, you have a very good taste of who's fast. Everybody's fast. Do you have any particular rivals that you're looking at this season moving ahead for Bahrain?
Jake.
Jake, and are you prepared for Bahrain? Do you think that's a strong circuit for you, or are you nervous?
I hope so. I haven't really practiced it yet. I'll have to see.
Okay. Well, Neon, thank you so much for your time. That's it for now. Thank you, and we will see you hopefully again in Bahrain here in the interview room. All right. Next up, we have the P2 finisher. It is going to be the Hungarian driver of Hurricane. Hurricane, welcome. Congratulations on the second place finish. What a dynamic race. Unicorn, I'm sure you have some things you can ask Hurricane about that one.
Yeah, well, Hurricane, it didn't start off brilliantly for you. Obviously, that jump start just was that, pre-season nerves. Obviously, the first race, you're itching to get going. You got going just a little bit quickly. What were your thoughts going through that? And obviously, you recovered it to get to P2, but just talk us through how that went for you.
The quality is good, I think, but my last lap is probably in top 3 if I not fucked it. So maybe good. The quality, the race is what can I say? Not good in the first stint, but I try what I need to, so it's good in the end.
Well, it was a very good drive. I mean, to come through with a drive-through penalty, you're finishing in second position. It was a fantastic drive to really take advantage of the opportunities that were presented to you, for sure. I think that might be it that we have for now. How are you looking into Bahrain, Hurricane? Is Bahrain one of your stronger circuits? Are you looking forward to Bahrain?
Yes, but I hate it, so let's
Okay.
see. We will see what happened in Bahrain, but I'm looking
All
for
right.
it, so maybe
Okay.
good.
Well, thank you very much for taking the time to interview. Congratulations once again. A great podium finish for the
Thank
Ferrari
you.
squad. Double points. I'm sure we're all going to be happy about that. And well, we'll see you hopefully here once again for Bahrain. Thank
Yes.
you.
Bye, guys.
Next up, the winner, ladies and gentlemen, the winner of the Tier 2 Season 4 opener. Crampy, how are you doing, sir? And how does it feel to take the win for the opener?
It feels very good. I'm very happy. I just drove my race and let everyone else muck up around me, and it worked. That's it.
How tense was it having been one of the drivers longest to go without penalties? What was your feeling when you took that first penalty, that 3-second time penalty?
I
What was
was
your feeling?
I was just shocked because I was annoyed because Hurricane was at the time, and I really did not want him to overtake. Otherwise, that would have been it. As before, I was just chilling, no penalties, able to go past everyone else, and then when I did, I was very annoyed, but then luckily Hurricane got one like a lap later or something. So, yeah, that just worked perfectly in the end.
It was a tough outing for the Alfa Romeos in Tier 3 yesterday, given how Adam ended up finishing. With this victory today, does that really boost the confidence back to where you guys had it after qualifying in Tier 3?
Definitely. I mean, it's unfortunate Scar's DNF'd as well, but the fact that we got 25 points, I think we're leading Tier 2 constructors as well now, which is great going forwards. But yeah, just happy to be back winning, doing good.
Any drivers in particular you're going to call out and say, I'm watching you this season? Any particular rivals specifically for Bahrain?
It's going to be the same people basically, like Jake, Neon, Hurricane, Scars, Swifty as well. He was there at the start but then spun. So yeah, it's probably going to be with those people
Do you
around
think
there.
Bahrain is going to be even tighter than Australia, given the nature of this circuit today? Or
We'll see. It's more of a pad track than this one. So pad players will obviously have an advantage, but it's going to be close as always, as everyone just grinding to get quicker and quicker.
well, that's it for me. Unicorn, do you have any questions for Crampy from that fantastic drive?
Yeah, well, Crampy, we've spoken a little bit before this race, and you told me coming into it, you're a little bit nervous there, but you just seemed laser focused throughout that entire campaign on what you needed to do. We were watching you follow Neon. Neon, he just said in his interview, he got stuck in a little bit of traffic off that safety car restart with Darian, Alfie, and Aliens, but as soon as he passed him through the penultimate corner, you just followed him straight through, so you just seemed laser focused. What changed between before the race when you were nervous and just in the race where you seem to be completely in the zone?
It's just just adrenaline of being in the race at the time. Just at the position I was in, I just needed to focus, and then I knew I could get the win after I saw Neon speeding. Which I just had to get focused on, and I did everything I needed to in the end. Just did consistent, and yeah, that's it.
Yeah, well, it was an incredible
great
drive.
job. Great
Thank
job.
you.
That is it for the time we've got with you today, though, Crampy. We will hopefully see you again in the future, next week perhaps, in the Alfa Romeo once again on the podium or with the win. But thank you so much, and best of luck to you and the Alpha guys for round 2.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Okay, that wraps up interviews, and that wraps up Tier 2 racing action. Unicorn, that was a fantastic race, and I don't know what to make of it. I'm going to have to go and take a look at that replay very, very shortly and get things all dialed in. Of course, you guys can find full replays and condensed highlights of all of our races on the YouTube channel. And something else to bring up, if you guys didn't hear already, we are now partnered with Next Level Racing. Check out their website, check out their gear. They've got some great, great products for anyone looking at the beginner level or the experienced pro level. So super, super stuff. Check them out, nextlevelracing.com. Of course, Unicorn, Tier 1 action tomorrow. You and I on the horn once again. Any expectations?
Well, Tier 2 has just put on a very high barrier. That was an astonishingly fast and just action-packed race. And Tier 1, I can already see hype in the chat for it tomorrow. I'm certainly looking forward to it. I imagine you are as well. And it looks like we are not alone in that fact. But Tier 2 has just put on an absolutely stunning show for us here this evening. And all I'm going to say is it feels good to be back, Strip. It really does. It feels good to be back.
It's been a very, very eventful 24, 48 hours since we began with Tier 3 yesterday. Now we're coming here to the end of Tier 2. We've had 3 races. Of course, tomorrow, 8 p.m. GMT, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard. We are back Tier 1 racing. And then this Sunday, we have the APAC division, the Asian Pacific division, which is at, if I'm not mistaken, 12:30? 12 GMT? You will know better than I, Unicorn.
It's
but
a little bit earlier than that.
A little bit earlier than that. That's why Unicorn and Mikhail handle that division. But of course, we have so much more racing, guys. If you haven't hit that follow button yet, hit that follow button. We're going to have a very, very good season of racing if these 3 races have been anything to go by. Of course, we're going to rate a member of the community in just a short moment. Unicorn, any closing remarks before, of course, we play the new outro for the season?
Yeah, well, just to confirm, it's 11 AM CET, so 10:30 GMT for Sunday. But yeah, Tier 3 tomorrow. Tier 1, I've done it again, Striff. I've done it again. Tier 1 tomorrow. Same time, same place. And, well, this has hyped me up even more than all that preseason. But, yeah, I'm very much looking forward to it. We'll see you guys tomorrow. And, yeah, that new outro. We'll let that play and then raid someone in the community. Thank you, everyone, for watching. And we'll catch you in the next one.